now. So definitely check them out. I spoke as quickly as possible. Everyone always tells me to slow down, but there is a recognition, Jen, that I'm not the most interesting part of this. So with that in mind, I will stop talking and I will hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Sam. You're hilarious. Okay, let me start sharing my screen. I also am planning on flying through this presentation. I'm so glad that so many people came and are interested in this topic. I feel like I could easily talk about this for an entire day long. So that's an issue. Hang on one second. I got to get out of I need the right presentation view here. Sam, can you let me know if that is?
It looks good. I see right now on the
we are. Boom. Okay. Perfect. Are we at the beginning?
Yes.
Okay, great. So thank you guys all for coming. I do want to say, yes, I did raise my hand to ask a question in another session the other day. And if you do that, just know that it will feel like you're literally being transported into another time zone or something, because you're going to think that Zoom has just completely stopped on you and you're going to panic. And then all of a sudden you're going to be on the screen. So it's fun. Just try it. I hope that we'll have plenty of time at the end of this. But as I said, I'm going to talk as quickly as possible and jump right into what you're going to get from me today. I want to make it clear right at the beginning, this is not going to be a training about specific project management tools. I am going to be providing a resource list at the end if you want more information about that. And as Sam said, for the next virtual market, I'm sure it will be even more in-depth conversation as in terms of what people need. I am definitely hoping I get invited back. And if you guys want more specifics next time around, we can dive deeper. I would love to hear from you and to know more about what it is that you're looking for. So in today's session, we are also not going to be covering the idea of like going fully virtual with like e-design. There was another session on Monday by Warren Schulberg. Am I saying his name correctly? He did a session that was more about that, like fully pivoting to e-design and virtual projects. And that is not really who exactly this is for. This is really virtual project management for teams and firms who really are continuing on serving, planning to continue to serve their clients with the same level of service that they always have. But right now, they may be experiencing a loss of having the team all in the office, or obviously doing a lot of on-site time with clients, all of those types of things that are needing to sort of have a virtual component right now. So that's really my focus today. Also, this is not going to be a webinar about doing more Zoom meetings. Like, as fun as that is, I think that is starting to become the new normal, and you're starting to realize there's a lot of wasted time happening, just like it does when you're in the office. You're used to walking down the hall and chit-chatting with a coworker. And now people are kind of starting to use Zoom to do that. So that's not what I'm here to talk about. Today, what I want you to walk away with is recognizing kind of the real problem and committing to the solution. So we're going to get right into that. So a little bit more about me. I am the founder of Pro Organizer Studio, which is a business and design resource for professional organizers who are definitely the sister friends of interior designers everywhere. Different focuses, but different outcomes, but we all have the same love for functional, beautiful spaces. I started a home organizing business and then developed this company out of that. I train professional organizers in the business side of the business. So I created a network of them all over the country. And at the end, I'm going to share more about how I can connect you with them if you're interested. And then just for fun lately, I've been talking about all kinds of things related to online business. So if you are someone who is working on sort of a project, whether it's more blogging, more YouTubing, you want to create your own course, you want to do something that is a component of your business in order to get more visibility online and monetize. I am talking about that for free pretty much every day over at a new Facebook page. Is just Jen Obermeyer. So that's my pandemic project. Like, everybody has to have one. All right. So here's like the big concept that I want to share today, because if you've been listening to the news at all, we've been hearing a lot of talk about what are we overreacting? You know, a good response may look like an overreaction. Those are the types of things that I have been hearing on the news, and you probably have too. So I want to talk about a word or a phrase called overresponding and what that means. And this comes from an author and a coach named Thomas Leonard. And his definition of overresponding is easy to understand if you compare it to just regular responding. Wanting a service that you cannot find and starting a company to supply it is over responding. Searching high and low for an existing company is responding. And then the difference between over responding versus overreacting is when you overreact, it's kind of like we're all used to this. We just put out fires. We attempt to nip a problem in the bud, but when you over respond, you actually slow down, get to the root of the problem, and find what opportunity there is there to essentially solve a problem forever. So sounds good, right? Okay, so this is this is my real life right now, probably like a lot of you. I snapped this picture just from the day before yesterday. I was working on my slides. I attended one of the vision sessions on Monday, and then my daughter was like, "Hey mom, can you play this game with me real quick?" And she caught me just at the right time where I didn't have anything else that I was working on. And by the way, this edition of Monopoly, Unicorns and Llamas, is the greatest thing ever invented. I mean, she's 11 and I'm 36 and we crack up the entire time. So highly recommend. And it's colorful like Sam. So it all blended together. All right. So here's the thing. So you're probably a lot like me, where when people come to you and they're like, "Hey, can you do this thing?" Like, I want to be the cool mom. And in my business, I want to be the cool boss. I want to be the cool, designer or service provider who just like when your client is just calling you or texting you and you're just like, sure. You know, we want to be like, "Hey, we can handle this. We're rolling with it. Our company is doing great." Like whatever it is, that image that you want to project. We're acting like we're fine and we're showing that we can handle it all. For sure, like it was well worth sitting down to play Monopoly with my daughter. But I just kind of want to keep that image in mind when we're talking about being in responsive mode. So here are the warning signs of like, maybe this is not actually okay, right? Your text messages. People are taking the opportunity to catch you wherever, whenever. Now, this may be your team members. This may be your clients. This, of course, may be your family and anybody else that you are conversing with on a regular basis, but that's starting to get out of control. Email inbox, as we know, is a nightmare to begin with. But if you're using that as your like virtual project management, like that's how you're adapting to virtual projects, is like, okay, well, there's a lot more emails. That gets to be a nightmare. And then phone calls. Phone calls can be good because you're checking in with people, you're getting status updates, but then not everybody else is necessarily looped in on the information. So now you have another to-do list item, which is now that you've checked in with this person on the phone, you now need to convey that information to somebody else. And you're starting to get that feeling that things are slipping through the cracks. So what happens next is you're waking up at night with these big question marks like, oh God, like I suddenly remember this detail that is just not like, did I ever follow up about that? And then, yeah, here's another warning sign. You're actually having constant Zoom meetings. Now, I think the majority of people might have showed up to today and just thought like, okay, I'm going to get better at Zoom, or I'm going to get better tips about managing projects virtually, like with Zoom and everything. But Zoom meetings that is a reaction. It's not a response, or it's not an over response. People, as I mentioned, try to kind of recreate the stability and the visibility of having in-person communication by saying, "Oh, hey, like let's have a Zoom meeting to talk about it." But that actually drains your productivity quickly. I'm sure you guys feel this. And then the last warning sign is like you actually have some virtual tools. Now, maybe at some point, whether you are really a solopreneur or you are in a larger design firm, I'm sure I'm talking to a big audience of people here. Maybe you have some virtual tools, but you're vaguely sort of uncertain about the best way. Like, one, do they all talk to each other? Do the tools all connect with each other? Does everybody in your company know how to use all of the features? Like, that's kind of the basics. And just in general, that it's not like you really committed before to going all in on these tools that you already have. And so now you're sort of like, let's just keep winging it. So why is this a problem? So here you are channeling your inner Chris Jenner, like there's nothing going on here. I have no feelings. Getting your biggest sunglasses on and feeling fabulous. Why is it a problem to just be winging it? Well, as you know, there are bottlenecks to your projects right now, in your business right now, in your life right now. And some of them really are out of our control. Can't control the supplier timelines that are now behind schedule. We can't control the lack of maybe necessarily being able to go and do in-person visits, whether they're not able to come to your firm, like where you tend to have client meetings, or you're not going on site, whatever the case may be. We can't control all of those. But here's the problem, is that there are so many things that are within our control. For example, team communication, assigning responsibility for tasks, taking advantage of the collaborative tools that you either have or that you have not even tried yet. The big one being commitment to client communication and regular updates, because I have a feeling that all of you cared enough, like when lockdown and quarantine and things started to happen, of course you communicated to your existing clients and you're just like, hey, things are slowing down. The session I went to on Monday with Sarah, she has 3 names. First one was Sarah. All right. She was amazing. And what she was talking about was public relations for luxury businesses, and how you can continue to market and talk about your business during this time. But one thing what she said was the client communication is the biggest piece of this. And so tying this to the project management is, this was not just a one-time like communication of like, hey, we're slowing down. What is the process now moving forward? And how often will you now stay in touch with those people to let them know, even if we cannot make progress at all, we are not going to go a month or 6 weeks without talking to you, that there is some check-in. Who's responsible for that? What is the process for that? So that, and I'm going to get more to this in the rest of the presentation, but that is going to set the tone for obviously how your company handles it, however long this crisis ensues, right? All right, so we also can taking control of all those inboxes. Going back to what we said, text, email, phone calls, Zoom, like these are all sort of inboxes with incoming information. And if we don't control them, they will control us. All right, so here we go. All right, so yes, what is the big deal if you don't do anything about this? Well, in the immediate sense, it might not be, which is the problem, right? Because when you are winging it, you don't necessarily see how it is starting to take a toll on, as we said, lack of client communication can ruin the reputation of a business. The leadership and team building that you have likely invested in over the past years can also kind of go down the drain when you are not setting the standard for how our team is going to communicate. Are they expecting you to reply to emails at 11 o'clock at night? And you don't want to set the standard with them that you're going to be like checking in on them on Zoom and like trying to get things done when they're like, I kind of need to I need more time. So we don't want that to happen. We also don't want to get to the point where you are so scattered with the way that you're managing things that now you can't even trust yourself to follow through. And you're having like those sleepless night, big question marks that I mentioned. And then the other big deal is that project budgets will continue to go way over in terms of money and time. And then there's heightened emotions all around, which, as we know, will affect you at home. And there is already no separation of home and work right now. So like, that's honestly the last thing that we need to be bringing into our life. All right, let me hydrate for 1 second and get to this next slide. This is a good one.
It's a classic for the times.
Yes, I thought it would be. So here's why most people won't fix this, even though they kind of sense this a problem. It is frighteningly easy to do what everybody else is doing. Yes, that is why I chose this image to represent what everybody else is doing right now. By the way, I've not watched the show. Is it good? Like, I hope that it is.
It's you know, I'll let people make their own opinions.
Okay. But all right. So anyway, I did feel like this picture is going to live on in our memories though, no matter who you are. All right. So yes, it does take time. It takes time to take ownership of a problem. That's hard. It takes time to slow down. It takes time to learn tools, and it takes time to document your processes. And here's the other thing. You want somebody else, likely, if you're like me, you're like, can I just outsource this? Can I just have somebody else come fix this? Can I have somebody else choose for me what our process is going to be, or what the tool is going to be, or just take this hot mess and figure out what our standard operating procedure is, and then train my whole team on it. That essentially is sometimes what the heads of companies want to happen, because they don't want to slow down and they don't want to be the one to choose. Unfortunately, that's not actually the most efficient way to go about it. You deciding what the standard is, you deciding what the process is, and then hiring people to execute on that is actually the best way to go about it. And then last but not least, it does seem more efficient to wing it, since all of this is temporary, right? Well, I hope so. That's what we're all hoping. So here's the deal. So the fix, and by the way, if you are watching and you're considering screenshotting anything in this presentation, this is the slide to screenshot, because this is the actionable process that we don't have time to go into deeper right now. But here's the thing. The fix is an over response, not an overreaction. Going back to what I said, an over response is something that goes far deeper than just, like we said, getting quicker or little productivity tips or what have you. It's an over response where, and this is what it would look like to do that, to slow down, to stop the crazy and stop the everything is fine kind of like front. You will have to stop and actually document an entire client project for your firm from end to end. And what that means is, of course, everyone is different, but what is the kind of template process from the time someone inquires about your services till the time that you're sending them the champagne and thank you card at the end? What is that? Okay. Then you're going to sit down and actually identify what gaps there are currently for working together collaboratively as a virtual team. Like I know, I mean, there's not going to be a easy replacement for every part of this process, because a lot of things in the interior design world are so high touch. And so you're not going to be able to replace everything, but are there things that could be accessed and shared online that were not before, either among your team or between you and the client? Also, what workflows do you have in that client process that can be automated to a greater degree than you did before? Maybe not completely, but to some extent. For example, payment reminders, thank you emails, scheduling confirmations, kind of all those things that are a part of every single project. The over response is to deal with it in a way where it's like, let's treat this as if this was the new normal. Like, what if this was the new normal? How would we adapt completely to it and ensure that we were not like manually handling recurring tasks over and over and over again, when it could be automated, outsourced, what have you. A lot of these things have to do with the tools that you use. And here's another reason why I'm not doing an in-depth training about project management. There's nobody that can do a better project management training than the people who create these amazing tools. Now, as I said, I'm going to share a resource list. There are many that are very specific to the interior design world, which some of you may already be familiar with, but maybe you picked one like 5 years ago and you don't even know what's out there now. Like, I think it's worth a look to stop and evaluate whether the tools that you currently have are really working or could work if you fully implemented them for your team, or whether you need to switch over to one. You need tools that are able to track progress on any project, and of course help you be able to visualize, here's where we are on multiple projects that are at multiple stages, right? Because that's the challenge. It's not just one project, it's the multiples, and it's the seeing the delays in delivery and that kind of thing. Being able to see all that visually for the first time could probably be the biggest game changer that comes for you out of this shutdown. So those tools need to be flexible, that you can adapt them for every type of workflow and process and project that your firm manages. So again, this is going to be specific to you. It's not like a one size fits all. Do those tools save time? And so therefore we're not on Zoom meetings all day long. Can we collaborate effectively with our tools? And of course that will be different if it's just you and another team member, or you guys have 25 people in your office. Like there are tools that are already out there created for meeting the needs of your size company. So next, after you do that evaluation, you're going to choose the one that is going to address the greatest number of needs for you for now. And I would just encourage you not to feel like you have to get married to it forever, but that you want to, commit pretty steady, like to really give it a fair shot. Like I said, this is an over response. This is not just a short-term fix. And so then the last step is to, as we said, use the help resources that are provided for you by those platforms to fully migrate, integrate, and train your team on how to use this one central location for everything. That's what an over response looks like. Then actually, I think I have this in another slide, but what you're going to do then is you're going to get so in tune and integrated into managing projects virtually that when you do start to have those in-person components come back in, that you'll be adding them in a very smart and strategic way. And you might see that now you have a lot of opportunities to save time that you never even saw before. So like, that's huge, right? All right. So now you have the opportunity to set the standard. And let me go back to this Zoom problem, because I really think this is worth discussing for another minute. Things that are meant for Zoom meetings: big picture synchronization with your team or with your clients, weekly progress meetings, meetings where you need to make progress as a group, team projects that require collaboration that is not covered by the tools that you have. No to Zoom. And this is a promise you can start to make today and start to work on today. Don't get on Zoom just to share information. That is something that can be done much more effectively through any of these project management tools, whether they are the ones that are designed for interior designers or ones that are more general, that can work for any type of business. Again, I will be sharing that resources list at the end. Collaboration for editing documents or design work edits, a quick question type of meetings, or meetings that are happening during blocked off calendar times. That, remember, what is the big deal? It's going to drain you and your company over time. And it's going to be a slow burn, but it's going to hurt. Okay, so here's the payoff if you like really commit to this. You're going to save time and resources immediately. This is not like, some far off promise. You are also going to have confidence that the expectations that you are now setting during this time can actually be met, because I'm going to say that if you are not used to like a clear project management process, that when you're telling your client like, yes, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and oh yeah, we'll figure this out, and like you're sort of still guessing about a lot of things because you are kind of just hoping and aren't sure. So I think having confidence that the expectations are going to be met is going to increase the trustworthiness of that client communication that you're working so hard to do, going back to that PR sort of problem. And then long-term, you're going to have to rely a lot less on drop-by meetings with clients, suppliers, and team that don't have clear agendas. And you're also going to become known for providing amazing customer service, which is a great marketing strategy in any economy. You're going to create a culture of efficiency in your firm that is going to trim your project budgets for decades to come. And if that doesn't sell you on this, I don't know what will. Last but not least, you'll become a person that not just improves and responds, and is not just the cool, like, yeah, whatever, but you're going to be somebody who is actually evolving in response to these challenges. Seeing the creative solutions, and not like just mentally consumed with like what's right in front of you here and now. Starting to like get a bigger handle on how you guys manage things. You might even see like, hey, we actually can take on more or expand our services, or see those opportunities for the very first time. All right, so let's do some big idea recap. Hey girl, yes, I know this is a hard time. I know this is challenging. And if you have been in response mode, I want you to know that that is okay. There is nothing wrong with responding and going with the flow and being in the moment, because I know a lot of us are doing our very best across the board right now. So I do want you to know that I see you, and I know you're doing an amazing job. Everything you have done so far to respond does matter greatly. Take away this big idea though. If you are winging it, I think that you're going to feel like you're in crisis mode for much longer than is actually necessary. Ooh, so this is the hard one. It sounds good, but it's hard to implement. It is really time to like fully adapt and treat this as if it were your new normal. And then, like I said before, slowly be integrating back your in-person on-site activities back into your project management process thoughtfully, and not just going back to the way things were, where there was a lot of like ambiguous sort of wasted time and it felt very creative and teamworky, but it kind of like wasn't that productive. And then lastly, the number one underutilized resource on the internet, I'm convinced, is the help and training that comes along with every tool that you could possibly invest in. And this includes even like there's a free project management tool called Asana, which happens to be my favorite because I've been using it forever. It's not specific to interior designers. It's adaptable to any business. And they literally have hours and hours of training on every possible use of their tool. And in addition to that, there are so many free additional support sessions right now, onboarding types of trainings for you and your team, that it would be so not good to not slow down to take advantage of that, because they have a vested interest in making you successful with fully using the tool, which is a great thing, because now you don't have to be the one that goes and figures it out, so that you can go back and train your team yourself. Like that, no, that is not what your role is. Like, you do need to take ownership of choosing the direction, and then of course learning for yourself how to use it all, but then also, setting this is now a company priority that we are all going to be taking our time to do. And honestly, what better time is there? Like, this is the best time that there is to be working on your business, not while you're not as much in your business, or at least have some things that, while you are kind of slowed down or whatever, this is the time to slow down so that you can speed way, way up into the future. Okay. I can't believe I hit my time. All right, next steps. I have created a resources page just for you guys. If you go to proorganizerstudio.com/vision, you can get all the resources that accompany this presentation. And I will even, hang on one moment here. I'm going to give you a short preview of that just so you can check it out. Or maybe I can just leave this slide up. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so I have some books. I have books that I'm recommending, even blog post articles, free. I have a list of resources for actual project management tools, because I really want you to walk away today feeling hopefully a little bit motivated, or maybe at least not as intimidated about really taking inventory. Take inventory of what you have and what is not working about it and why you don't like it, and then see what else is out there, shop around and commit. Like that, I think, is the biggest thing that you could do today. And so check out the resources there. And then also I have a few more little next steps if you do want to work with me or learn more from me for free. I have that too. And also we can connect you with a professional organizer in your area that is a part of our network, if you would like to sort of either strategically work with them to complement. I mean, they're very complimentary services. Or hello, you can hire one of them to come help you get your ish together right now. Okay. So that is my that's my call to action, is just come on over. I have this page created just for you guys, and I really do want to hear from you, because if there is a more in-depth training that I can provide on this, if you like the way that I teach, I would love to do it, because I'm obsessed with this topic.
Well, I loved everything that you said. It really sang to me personally. I'm a business owner too, like the crisis mode situation. Like literally, I spent a day where I turned off technology and I just pressed pause, which feels counterproductive, but it definitely was a necessity for me personally. The other thing that I loved that you said was finding out the new template for the process, like discovering like what's the process now, and really figuring it out step to step, so you can see where are the areas in which we can improve. I wrote down maybe like 3 pages of notes just to let you know. Just so I definitely found that helpful. And you know what's so interesting about our we had a transition to Asana. So it's definitely like, all this stuff isn't, it sounds easy in practice. And I like that you didn't like dumb it down and be like, here's the tool you need, Asana. Here's the other one, Slack. Like, right. We Asana, and I know we actually have one person on our team who's like a project master at it. I don't know if there's like a name for that, or they're the wizard of Asana.
Yeah. Yeah.
Need it. Like, it's easy to fall through the cracks. I don't know if you have any like Asana tips or any like high level tips, but that's what we had to do.
Yes. Well, so is this a good, okay. I'm going to try to cut myself off and not talk about this for 30 more minutes, but yeah, no, Asana I included this in my resources list. So I train when I teach professional organizers, and this is my expertise. So I teach the most organized people in the world how to organize their businesses. So I kind of feel like I know a thing or two about this. I mean, it's like, again, not like I'm not like, listen, I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. I've never even taken all of their training, but I am a very visual person. And so being able to kind of create a basic client template, client process. And I included that blog post in my resources list. And now, of course, that is for professional organizers, but you can at least see what I'm talking about, where it's like you sort of have the beginning phase of a project, a middle phase, and then the ending phase. And of course, that looks different for every company. But once you have a template, then every time you have a new client, you can create a new project in Asana and name it Sam Smith or whoever your client is, and start to customize things from there. The thing that is absolutely critical is it doesn't just become this multi-page to-do list, which I think happens really easily. Like when you're like, okay, I'm gonna get a new planner. I'm gonna get a new to-do list app. I'm gonna do a new project management tool. Like I might do Asana. I mean, I had Monday.com for a while for myself. I tried that. Like I've tried a lot of different things. And what happens is you sort of think like, okay, I'm gonna put everything in there. And then it just is somewhere that is just storing to-do lists.
Yeah. Because
the most critical part is you have to assign a date and you have to assign a person to everything in there. Otherwise, it becomes another sort of dumping ground for information that is not organized. And so, yes, I think with what you're saying, the transition is not just getting it all in there. It's actually starting to implement it and then use it as your trusted system versus thinking, yeah, we have it all in there, but that's not really the true like dashboard for what we know is going on. The true dashboard is somehow like still in your email, or it's still sitting like literally physically on your desk in notes and Post-it notes. Like, don't forget about this thing. Like that. That is the hard part, is committing enough to be all in and to getting everybody who you need to work back and forth with to be all in on it. But then once you're there, you're like, you're free, sort of, because everything is duplicatable.
I liked it. It
replicable. And we like to think, of course, because when you're in a creative field like interior design, you think, oh, well, everything is so different, or every client is so different, and there's a process, and I need to be inspired. Oh, that's another big thing. I kind of thought about this week is I'm sure interior designers are really missing being physically in places where they pull inspiration from. There's a lot of people like are very tactile and all those things. Well, as creative as you believe that you are, or as custom as your projects may seem to be on the outside, there still is a checklist at the heart of it. If you can recognize that and put it into a form that allows you to communicate better, and allows you to track things better, and allows you to assign things to team members and help them see like, oh, this is how all of this relates to everything else. I think the visual is like a game changer. It's awesome.
I agree, especially seeing like the calendar view. We do have one question from Jacqueline. It is Asana specific. And she asks, do you put your clients in Asana as well during this process?
So so what I would do is, yes. So once you have like your, once you kind of create like your basic template, what I would do is then start to input your, whatever current clients you do have on the books, put them in there and kind of, edit, like maybe you edit your template slightly for each one, because you're like, okay, well, this person needed this additional piece, or this person didn't need one of our normal things, whatever the case may be. put them in there. And even if like you get to the point where you're like, okay, I can see where this project is on hold and it's on hold, and now we have client communication, even if that's the result of you putting them in there, at least now you know, once you get going again, what can you start to communicate to that client about their timeline and what's left and who's responsible for that. And it kind of helps you see that once things start moving again, that it's a matter of, you know, we're truly, like I said, being able to like set expectations and trust that they're true. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I love that. I think to your point about controlling communication too, with having something like a tool like Asana, when everything's mapped out, even if that client they don't necessarily have to come to you anymore for a question. They can check it. They can say, all right, this is where it's at. And specifically in a time where, especially getting products might be delayed, or there are things that are delayed that are out of our control. You can add notes. You can see that. You can change the due date. You can reflect, and the communication will be automatically triggered. She asked another follow-up question. She said, maybe I didn't phrase it right. Do the clients need to access Asana to see the calendar or assignments? Are they charged for their account?
No, they are, you can share, and you can even, oh my gosh, I'm not sure that this is 100% true. At some point, it was absolutely true that you can even assign tasks to people that are not like paid members of your team or anything, meaning like, and this is very relevant for organizers because often the client has homework in between. You can assign tasks and due dates to your clients without them having to pay for it. And so I'm pretty sure that that's still true. I know that Asana has several different levels, and so there may be even better features for your clients to be able to access. But if you don't have any other, I know that many of the designer specific project management tools have almost like a client portal or somewhere where they're accessing like, hey, I can see my contract, I can see my information, I can see due dates. And so if you don't already have a tool like that, I think sharing that with your client through something like Asana is very helpful. Now, can we expect every client to be like totally on board with like digital tools? Probably not, but I think it will absolutely give them peace of mind that it is there and that they can sort of check in without thinking like, hello, does anybody remember me? You know? So yeah.
I feel like our next session, we could probably just tackle Asana. But I mean,
for sure.
It is one of those things. It's a tool. And this is why I think that you're also being so flexible with how you're speaking. It's a flexible tool. It's not something that's hyper specific to any industry. And with that with that flexibility, there is a lack of structure that you have to input yourself. And that you have to.
That's true. That's true. And so I'm assuming, and now I've never used any of the tools that are designed for interior designers. I would love to know if people are using like the MyDoma, Studio Designer, Ivy is another one. What?
Or any of those. Yeah. I
would love to know like what holds you back from going all in on it or trusting it as a system? Or have you just not found the time before to like really do that? Like you said, Asana transition or the transition into it. And again, like what better time is there to do this than now? Yeah.
Maureen says she uses Wecora, which is actually a Charlotte local startup.
Cool. Okay.
Jennifer says she loves MyDoma. And then, Maureen says that she uses Studio Designer for invoicing. Yeah. So we might need to, as a group, like crowdsource some of these tools as well. We're running up on time. So unfortunately, like as this got interesting about tools, and definitely a continued conversation that we need to have. But again, I'll make sure to send follow-up information to Jen. I think honestly, a very good point is that the way that you start this transition, like the steps that you take right now are so important as a foundation for moving forward. Honestly, once you have a plan and once you are more organized virtually, it does lessen your anxiety. I know that sounds crazy, but I was definitely, asked me 3 weeks ago how I was feeling compared to now. And I'll tell you, I'm feeling like it's a lot more manageable, at least achievable, obviously not perfect. And there's the link in the chat too. I'll make sure to email it. Jen, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
All of the insight. This was excellent.
Okay, wonderful. This is really fun. Thank you so much, Sam, for having me. And I put the link in the chat in case you guys want to go check it out now, proorganizerstudio.com/vision. And somebody asked if this is going to be available for replay.
And it will.
I believe
Yep,
it
the
is.
recording will be free. They'll be recording with everything available. And again, Jen shared that link. I'll make sure to include it in the follow-up for the resources that were mentioned too. So thank you so much,
Sounds
Jen.
good.
Thank you to everyone.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
everyone be well. Thank you guys so much in the chat too. Yeah, we'll catch you around next session maybe or other sessions. Have a good one, guys.
Bye. Thanks.